Welcome to the Wellness Workers Podcast, your go-to source for practical insights on health and wellness for you, your family, and your workplace. In each episode, we explore best practices, proven wellness programs, and uncover what truly works. We'll be speaking with experts and thought leaders in the wellness space, bringing you their knowledge and experience to help you lead a healthier, more balanced life. So let's dive in and discover the strategies that can transform your well-being both personally and professionally. Welcome to the Wellness Worker Podcast. Today on this Wellness Worker Podcast, I'm honored to welcome one of the world's foremost leading authorities and pioneers in the field of stress management, wellness, and stress prevention, Dr. Michel Olpin. He is the founder of the Stress Relief Center at Weber State University and the owner of the Stress Management Place. He's also the creator of one of the only accredited stress relief training courses online that provides nurses with up to 16 continued education credit hours for taking this course, just to learn how to eliminate and reduce, not only reduce, but stop stress from happening in the first place. So for me, I am so honored to have this, I'll call you a sage, doctor, a sage in the industry. Dr. Olpin, tell us how you do it, man.
I just show up and hope good things happen. No, uh, I've been at this a long time. Um, I, many years ago, I realized that I wanted to be involved with wellness long before really people were doing wellness. I learned, just as an example, and I learned how to meditate in 1988, and I didn't know a soul who also meditated. I learned yoga long before, and I started doing yoga on my own long before nobody had a yoga mat in 1988. And I realized the difference it was making in me. I mean, it fixed my selfishly, it affected I had high blood pressure, dangerously high blood pressure, and the meditation combined with the yoga and doing all the other eating clean and that sort of thing normalized my blood pressure. Obviously, you can't feel when you have high blood pressure, but I could tell that things were getting better for me, even at that mid-20s age when my health was starting to go south. And so for 40 years, I've been playing in this field, trying to learn and experience everything that is kind of cutting edge wellness content, because it really does come down to the one aphorism that I really like. Um, if you have good health, you can make 1,000 decisions. If you have bad health, you can only make one decision, and that is to get back into good health. And so health is really everything. And I look at health on the end of the spectrum that is kind of how do we perform optimally, mind, body, and spirit, rather than just what keeps us out of the hospital. And so that's been my focus for all of these years, is trying to figure out and practice with others and teach others what works to keep us really healthy and well.
Dude, I've got a confession to make. 'Cause, to be honest with you, when we first met, before we met, I started working with Luraco, who is the only American manufacturer of massage chairs on the planet. And from working here, they told me that you had conducted a study decades ago on these chairs that proved that they have measurable health benefits. So in my pursuit and doing my due diligence and research is trying to find out, okay, tell me about these chairs. Because the more I found out about them, the more fascinated I became about this whole technology, because this is naturopathic, ancient technology that over in the West, we just started to become aware of. But when I met you and you started explaining to me something about how the stress works and the different chemicals that are released in your body and the different reactions and consequences of that, I began to recognize that, dude, I thought I'm stressed out. I ain't doing I thought this was normal. I'm from Chicago, where you got to think fast, walk fast, talk fast. You can't go slow. You got.
Yeah, that's just about everybody.
I'm about self-destructive as I can get, but the thought is, when you started enlightening me about some of the strategies and practices that you've discovered over decades,
Hmm.
it blew my mind. So what I want you to do is give us a little history about how did you start doing the study on the chairs in the first place, and what kind of discoveries have you made in the stress relief center that you created there at Weber State University?
Yeah, it was in the early 2000s when I was asked, I'm a professor at Weber State University, and I was asked by my chair if I wanted to have a space that related to my interests. He knew I was interested in kind of the stress management world. Um, I've always been interested in the nutrition and exercise focus, but there's a lot of people playing in that realm of wellness. But there's not really, especially in the early 2000s, there really wasn't too many people who were dialing into how stress works and how dangerous it is and how to prevent it. And so he said, do you want a space? And we have some money if you want to get some things. And so I looked over the whole country, looked over the whole United States to see who else was doing something that resembled what we would call a stress relief center or a biofeedback lab or something that focuses directly on stress. And I found there was only one place in the entire country.
Really?
It was in Montana that where there
Wow.
was a university who was doing something that was kind of oriented in this direction. And I checked what they were doing and I thought, well, we should try this. I mean, it would be fun to do and I understood exactly what they were doing when they explained it to me. And uh so I we got together. The first thing we got a massage chair and we got a chi machine and a kind of a chair for meditation. And then I brought in some of my own guided relaxation exercises and this was about 2006-ish, 2007 when this kind of unfolded at the beginning and we didn't really market ourselves very much, but people heard about it, word of mouth started coming in. So we thought it would be cool to assess how they are pre and post. When they come in, let's assess them. And is there a difference after they're done? And so we looked at different ways to
Mm.
assess people. And turns out that some easy ways to measure that are fairly representative of stress are heart rate, resting heart rate, blood pressure, kind of perceived stress on a scale from 1 to 10, and stress related pain. And so we started measuring those things. And um, we went through about 3 or 4 years of just, okay, this is interesting. I didn't really do any analysis of the data. And it was about that time when a representative from Luraco found out that we were doing this, and we had moved into a different location on campus. But she said, if we'd like you to do some analysis of our product, and so we they donated a couple chairs to our place, and we started really keeping track closely of the numbers. I mean, we kept when anybody came in, and the Luraco chairs very quickly became the most used, most favored, and interestingly, the data showed most effective tool that we had. Um, Even back then, that people could use when they came in. And so we thought there was a gentleman who's kind of big in the massage industry, Alan Wagner, came to me one day and he said, "You should really do a study. You should analyze this because prior to that time, there were um, no studies, no published studies
Hmm.
that showed either the effectiveness or the ineffectiveness of massage chairs. There's plenty done on massage and other types of, mm, relaxation techniques, but there hadn't been any done on massage therapy or on excuse me, on chair massage.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so he talked me into it. We started gathering the data. We analyzed everything that we had in there, and we had expanded to a certain extent with other tools, but um, we also separated out the Luraco chairs to do kind of a mini study with just those two chairs to see if to see how what kind of results we were getting with those. And the results were phenomenal. The results were when the statistician that looked at our data, and we had I don't remember how many, like 7 or 8 thousand
Wow.
rounds of data. I mean, there were a lot of people. We would have, at that point, we had 70 people coming into our center per day. Uh,
Man.
and he said when he looked at he analyzed it for, statistical significance, and
Uh-huh.
he said this was so strong. The significance was so strong. If this were a drug, a pill, this would be the best-selling stress reduction pill in the world because
Wow.
of the effect it was having. I mean, essentially, to summarize the data, people who came in, their blood pressure went down, their resting heart rate went down to a statistically significant
Mm-hmm.
extent. Their um, their perceived stress went down, their perceived pain, stress-related pain went down, and that was the same for men, for women, for age groups. It didn't make any difference who it was. It What we did in there was making a difference at a statistically significant level. And so we published a couple studies that showed our findings, and yeah, it was really cool to see kind of the results that
Mm.
had never been looked at or achieved prior to that time.
Yeah, and I want you to share something with me in a second, but one of the things I want to share is that something I've been starting to discover. We've been operating within the space of first responders because one of the things that I did when I really started finding out about the efficacy of these chairs, so I'm like, dude, and we the only American manufacturer. How come more people don't know about us, right? So the
Hmm.
first thing I did is I went to speak to city council, saying, okay, what do we need to do where we can have the greatest impact? And they said, you need to send it to the fire department. Fire chief said, you need to send it to the 911 center. And that's what we did. Dude, but when I got over there in that space and saw the tremendous degree of stress that they were under, I
Yeah.
was completely converted. I'm like, this is not a joke. This is for real. So, in the process of doing this, I'm starting to discover that in the first responder community, they're starting to build departments. They have what's called wellness units that they're starting to create for various police departments.
Mm.
Same thing in the fire department space. They're creating wellness spaces, or we call
Mm.
them quiet spaces, so that people have a chance to decompress and recover. Because this is what's happening. Now, this is factual. According to the World Health Organization, over 90% of all disease is stimulated by stress, right? And as of this year, it's over $360 billion that are spent annually by American corporations because of sickness, workplace wellness. So it's kind of like the companies are starting to take a little bit more serious. It's like, okay, I'm minimizing my investment here by having people having off days, they filing claims, they're getting sick, they're overwhelmed. I want to ask you, one, where have you seen this wellness consciousness flourishing and there being an elevation and awareness about the importance of addressing this? And two, what do you think is one of the causes for this stress in the first place? Dude, tell me what the deal is, Doc.
How long do we have? So I'll answer the second question first. I, I don't know if one of the things that I have noticed in the 30 30 plus years that I've been playing in this stress world
Hmm.
is In general, I think people are more stressed now, and it's been kind of mm, a fairly straight line going up gradually, except for COVID. When COVID hit,
Right.
reported
Spike.
stress levels just went off the charts, and they've somewhat minimized. But I mean, I work with a lot of people, and their their levels of stress are higher, and their symptoms of stress are more profound. We see way more results of chronic stress. I mean, and you mentioned, 90% there's a stress component, but we see a lot more things like fibromyalgia and
Mm,
um, uh, diseases that are because the immune system's been compromised
hmm
all way more than we ever did before. Now, why is that happening? Um, the challenge that I have with that question is, in my mind, stress is internally driven. There's not stressful things out there.
hmm
We interpret things in certain ways, and if it feels like it could threaten us in any way, physically, emotionally, psychologically, our physiology thinks that that's a real threat, and the result of that is an activated stress response. And so I think the answer to your question is I think we, in general, have decided that things are more threatening to us than they are,
mm
more now than they ever have been. You see
hmm
TV and people are just, I'm offended by this and I'm offended by that, and I can't handle this and I can't handle that emotionally. It's more pronounced now than I think it's ever been. And people don't realize when they think in those ways, it turns on the stress response. And
mm
when they think in those ways constantly, it results in, constant chronic stress and health problems.
hmm And just like I've started to see a rise in addressing that issue within the first responder space, what have you seen and what industries is there becoming a greater awareness where they're seeking to implement some stress relief solutions or some wellness solutions in those spaces? I know you work at the university. Tell us about your experience there and maybe in some spaces that you're familiar with.
Yeah, certainly in the university. I mean, 20 years ago, there was no such thing, or there were very few employee wellness directors. Now,
Mm,
every school,
really?
I'd be surprised if any school didn't have an employee wellness director. We started um, in the 2000s, we started what we called a student wellness director.
hmm
We kind of created that and said, here's what this person is. And now we see a lot of student wellness. So, student wellness directors. And so we see that in the universities. One of the places that we've been fortunate to be involved with to a high degree is with the medical community and especially nurses, where um, the stress levels are just astronomical and the burnout uh, rate is just through the roof.
hmm
Um, it's almost to a point where there's more people leaving because of stress and
Wow.
burnout than they can come bring in
Wow.
because of the stress. And so we've taken a proactive approach. One of the directors, the state directors here in Utah, contacted me and she said, "We need to do something about this. What can you do?" So we've been working together for a few years to try to create a program that nurses could use. And it turned out we ended up getting it accredited for
hmm
nurses um, continuing education. That is an approach that's a little bit different than all the other approaches that are out there. And the difference primarily that I take, or that how do I say that? The difference between my approach and most of the others is most of the others, their approach is let's help this person who's struggling to get out of stress. And my approach, I include that because we definitely want to help people who are mm, already in chronic stress and struggling with the symptoms. But it would be smarter if we took a proactive approach where we
Hmm.
taught them how to prevent stress from happening in the first place.
Exactly.
And so, about half of this program that we created is designed to prevent stress, to teach them how to not get stressed in any situation. And if they forget, because we all forget, we get wrapped up in the mix of the chaos. We also need tools to turn off our stress. So we're trying to deal with this from both sides, and most programs out there just deal with the one side. So that's
Amazing.
how we're a little bit different in that way.
Amazing. Now I know that and one of the reasons why I created this communication is because there are a lot of people who want to know, okay, we're trying to create an initiative. I've had people contact me for chairs, and they're trying to set up some kind of semblance of a stress relief space or something for their
Mhm.
911 center or some location. And many times, one, they don't have a budget. Two, they don't have a clue. They don't know where do I start with this whole thing.
Right.
So part of the reason for having these conversations is to take a seasoned veteran like yourself that's gone through trial and error and has learned what works, what doesn't work, what's cost effective or not cost effective in that situation, and be able to share some of that information because a lot of these people who are HR directors, whether they are wellness directors of corporations or of a company, I did remember hearing you and Dr. Liz talk about they have wellness officers now in medical centers, right?
Yeah.
that they need to know the stuff that you've learned over the decades.
Mm.
One thing particular I want to mention before you tell us about what would you recommend somebody institute as a solution. I remember
Mhm.
you telling me about that someone found out about what you had done over at the Stress Relief Center there in Utah, another university, and they came over and said, okay, you need to make one for our campus, for our people, but not just for the students, for the staff too. Like,
Yeah.
we need this, right? So
Yeah.
obviously, you know a little something about what it takes to make a space work. So give us a little input about what you would recommend if somebody's trying
Sure.
to institute a wellness solution for their people.
It was funny. As soon as they saw what we did, they selfishly somehow came up with they said, "Okay, this is for the students," but it was really for their staff and faculty and it's been well used from what I understand. But so over the years, one of the things that I've been meticulous about is I'm absolutely dialed into what works and what doesn't work. If it works, you keep it. If it doesn't work, you don't hang on to it.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it will work down the road because somebody said it worked. And I'm very scientific about it, even though most of the modalities that are used to reduce stress haven't had a lot of science behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, I had to, but I say had to, but it's been a fun trial and error experience where I've tested with, the lots of people who come into to our stress relief center. We test and see if it works and we measure them and then they try it and then we test them again. And we've had a lot of things that haven't worked. And we've kind of said, no, that doesn't result in or that doesn't produce results that are useful. And so a few things that we've tried that we have kept. The one thing is the absolutely most popular tool that we have is the massage chairs. One reason for that is because when somebody sits in a massage chair, they don't have to think about anything. They just let the massage chair go to work. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like having four human hands going to town on the tight muscles. Uh, so that I would say is almost a must-have to have some kind of a massage chair that isn't one of those that you would find at an airport. You have to get
Mm-hmm.
a good massage chair. You have to get
Mm-hmm.
something that is high quality, or else, you've been on those massage chairs or on those beds that they just vibrate, and you're just
Oh,
annoyed.
yeah.
You just get ticked off sitting. But and I don't want to toot Luraco's horn too much, but they are the best massage chairs um, by a lot.
Mm,
There are several around the world that, and I like the idea that they're American made. But you have to get a good massage chair. Another tool that we have that is ranks right up there is what we call a chi machine. It's
hmm
and it's a very inexpensive, relatively item where you put it on the floor. Chi meaning chi spelled CHI space machine, if you want to look it up. And you put it on the floor, and it looks crazy. It looks insane. It looks like how could this possibly do any good? But they lie on the floor on their backs, and they put their feet in this machine, and it wobbles back and forth
hmm
and you just let it go for about 5 to 10 or 12 minutes, and it stops. And at the point when it stops, it's one of the most relaxing, energizing,
Wow.
strange feelings. And it's not universal, but 90% of the people, 95% of the people report feeling an incredible feeling of just ah, I feel a lot better.
Mm.
And it's just because of the motion of this chi machine that it puts your legs in, and it makes no sense when you look at it, but the results are powerful. Um,
Yes, interesting.
we've had a few other things that we really like. We have a what's called a water massage where and this is relatively inexpensive, but you lie on it and it kind of shoots water into your back, but the water's in a bubble, so it doesn't,
Hmm
you don't get wet.
hmm
And it's a gentle massage. If you're a massage wimp, then this is a really massage because it's gentle, but it also, um, it goes from the neck to the waist and it's really liked. We also have a lot of little tools that we have that are handheld, like the little looks like a gun and it just it does you can move it around your body. We have um, I saw somebody at an NBA game at a timeout. He used one of these, um, I don't know what you call it. It's just a little
Massage gun.
massage gun, I guess,
Yeah.
maybe. And I said, that's what we use. And we have one machine that people sit in a chair and they put their legs and feet into this machine, and it massages, it kind of does a reflexology massage of your feet and calves, and it also heats. And
hmm
that's universally loved. I mean, anything that's kind of massage is a very good choice as long as it's quality. You can't scrimp, you can't skimp. How do you say that? You
A
can't
skip. I think skip is
skimp.
correct.
You can't go cheap
Can't be on a cheat. Can't,
on
man,
these
I'm
things
glad you said that. You know,
because then it just gets annoying.
I had the privilege, the rare privilege, to visit the university and actually be in the stress relief center. And there are a couple of things that I noticed. One is the ambiance that you create in that
Mm,
space. It's almost like when you walk in there, you walk into a different dimension, right? You start feeling relaxed just walking in the room because the colors, the lighting, the imagery that's on the wall and on the ceiling,
yeah.
right? So when I walk in that space, it's almost surreal. I'm like, oh, I'm already feeling a little bit better. But
Yeah.
in that also you had like you had some aromatherapy going on.
Yeah.
You had some sound therapy happening as well.
Yep.
I seem to remember, man, there's a lot of different modalities that you had incorporated in that space that really made it an immersive kind of experience with somebody coming in looking to get some relief. So I really take my hat off to you. And I will continue to use it as a resource for when we're trying to find out solutions for people that are trying to implement stress relief spaces of their own to people to provide them with access to something. But I want to mention something. I am actually taking your class. I'll tell you a couple of your classes. I love your
College
classes,
class.
man.
Yeah.
They work, man. They teach me how to get control of this and this, and how to actually control my energetic levels. One of the things that you touched on when you were talking about these different massage devices is one very important factor. All we are comprised of is energy. We just seem to be solid. But the reality is, if you get that energy moving in the right way, the way that you feel and the way that you actually interact with reality changes, right? But you said something that I found to be mind-boggling in one of your classes. In the onset at the beginning of the class, you talked about a study that was done that assessed escalation of obesity in America
Mm.
over a certain period of time. Over, say, I think it was 50 years or something like that.
It was probably 20, 25 years. Yeah.
Now, the reason why that was so fascinating to me, because a couple of things that you touched on. One is the Food and Drug Administration, who seem to be in bed together. I'm going to let you touch on that in a second. But
Mm.
the reality is that they sometimes prescribe certain dietary plans for the masses that are not necessarily conducive to their best physical well-being. So they got to go get a drug. And when they got a problem now, it's like, okay, I've eaten this stuff. I've blown up beyond proportion. I'm having health issues. I'm going to the doctor who I trust. He prescribes to me a drug to fix it that might have all kind of ramifications and side effects. But
Perfect.
the way that you approach it from the holistic perspective, saying the body has the power to heal itself, but you have
Mm.
to know how to do something with it. And there's a method to the madness. So can you touch on that for a minute? Because I find that fascinating.
Sure. My focus has always been, like I mentioned earlier, on this end of the spectrum. This end of the spectrum of the kind of health and wellness spectrum says, what can we do to keep people from not dying? That's
Okay.
what they don't want to have happen. In the medical world, what do we do to keep people from not dying? Or fix things that are immediately, and we have a medical community that is second to none in
Mm,
acute care. If I chop my fingers off, um, I can get them fixed right now, and it can almost look like they didn't get chopped off in the first place. That's miraculous, and I think we do a great job. We don't, however, do a very good job, and we haven't done a very good job with chronic disease, partly because I think, and I shouldn't say this too loudly, but partly because I think there is a there's a community of businesses that profit profoundly from the continuation of chronic disease.
mm,
I don't, so be that as it may, I'm far more interested in this end of the spectrum. And because I do believe once we are in balance, once our mind and
mm,
body are in balance, then the body knows how to heal itself of most problems. And then the immediate example of that is if you go out and you cut yourself, say you're jogging on a path and you cut yourself on a bush, right? And so you've got blood
mm,
coming out. Well, you don't have to do anything for that to heal itself. The body knows how to heal that cut. It knows how to stop the bleeding. It knows how to bring the skin back together. It knows how to make the blood coagulate it sufficiently so that all of these things the body knows how to do. The problem is when we're in the stress response, and this is huge, when we're in the stress response, those systems that are designed for healing the body turn off.
mm,
That's
mm.
huge. And so my thinking is, what can we possibly do? And there are dozens of things that put the body back in balance. And we've talked about a few here today, so that the body, when something, say hypertension, when you have, say you have an artery that bursts, if you have a strong healing system, if your immune system and the healing part of your immune system is strong and functioning, it knows how to fix that blood vessel that is cut, right? Um,
Mm,
everybody has those things going on, but we don't notice them because they fix themselves.
mm-hmm.
Tons of, man, we could go into the research on that. That's just fascinating. Anyway, um, my thinking is, and it seems to bear, it seems to be true for humans, is the more we can apply those techniques that get the body back in balance. In other words, stress is turned off. We're our nutrition is clean. We have enough sleep. We get enough sunshine. Um, when we do those things and anything else we can do to turn off our stress, the body knows how to heal most problems. And
Mm,
that a totally different approach than the medical model that says, oh, let's apply a surgery or let's, if it's a
hmm
heart attack or let's fix this cancer with this chemotherapy. I'm not against those, but I think if we can do something prior to those things popping up,
mm,
we've won the battle long before. We just don't realize it. We don't realize what good we're doing for ourselves because no symptoms, um, you're in good shape.
yeah, yeah. That's fascinating, man. One of the things that I wanted to mention is because we have a project, there's a special care chair initiative that we have that's focused in on first responders. And primarily because and this is statistical. Did you know that like police officers have a 21-year less lifespan than people that are not under severe
Is that
stress?
right? 21 years?
21 years, man. But regardless of what the time frame is, the reality is that the quality of life that you have when you're
Hmm.
under stress is reduced because you can't really enjoy some of the benefits and fruits of this experience because you're constantly on the defensive or you're constantly on the lookout. You're constantly in that fight or flight. That is so not only your job, it's your reaction or reflex action as well. Once it becomes habitual, it's like, oh, you're always on fight or flight. So it's like,
100%.
those are high stress. They have people's lives in their hands in many instances,
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody else's life. So the reality is that the chain reaction of the consequence that create are huge. The reason I say that because a lot of times I talk to people I talk to administrators from the city, I talk to people who are over the purchasing department of companies or departments, and something that I see happening or have seen happening. It's like, okay, we know what? Yeah, we would like to have a wellness thing going on, but we don't have a budget for that. Right? We
Right.
don't have a budget for that. So I asked these couple of questions, and I've started to get a different reaction. Like, say, uh, is it important to them the well-being of these people that are on their team, their staff? Is that important
Mhm.
to them? Is it of value to them? Right? If something is of tremendous value to you, is it worth investing in maintaining? So I let them answer the question. And the reality becomes unequivocally, they say yes. Yes, these people are more valuable. The police officers are more valuable than the vehicles they drive, but we got a budget for the vehicles. We got no budget for the officers. That's the most crazy thing I've ever seen. But I'm
I,
saying that to say
I
this.
absolutely agree. Yeah.
I'm starting to see that there's an awakening happening. And more people are waking up that, you know what, we got to take this serious. We got to allocate some resources to address these issues, or else it's going to cost us more money than it's worth. So I'm saying that because I want to ask you this question. Where do you see this evolution in wellness going in the coming years? Based on your experience and your connectivity in the industry, where do you see it going, Dr.
Well, I think it's partly necessity driven. The cost of healthcare is
Mm,
out of control. And so take just diabetes, for example.
mm,
Um, Diabetes all by itself, continuing at the pace it's in, all by itself can bankrupt the medical system because of the cost. And diabetes is a chronic condition, and so it doesn't go away. You
mm-hmm,
don't fix diabetes very much. And so I think because it's necessity driven, there will be more and more people who look at the opposite focus of prevention as a viable alternative. And the
mm,
thing that I see that really will happen is they'll recognize, oh, yeah, this is helping our bottom line on the medical side, but also they realize, my goodness, our people are here more often and they're functioning at a higher level and they're happier and they're more peaceful and they're more fun to be around. All of these things that will kind of cascade from, okay, we need to do something to reduce our bottom line in the medical side.
Right, right.
And so I think it'll be kind of a bang and then a bigger bang. And it may take some time because we still have a medical model orientation that the insurance companies run that is
Mm-hmm.
a big mountain to climb because
Mm,
they're not on board with prevention
mm.
yet. But I think they will be. I think they'll realize
Interesting.
a little bit sure. I think they will.
Man, I want you to know how grateful I am for this time that you've shared with us. And you've gone into some things I even have no idea the degree of depth of your knowledge base and experience in this space to some degree. But yeah, you go deeper than I thought. You're not a surface dude, man, for real. But I want to ask you this. One, how can people get in touch with you if they need to access some of your information, some of your content, or what can they do to, or access your experience about how do I create an effective stress relief space, or how can they get in touch with you?
So the easiest way, I have a couple of websites. One is just Michael Olpin, MichaelOlpin.com. And that's kind of a over just a here's Mike and here's kind of some of the things he's done. But I also have a website that is dedicated to stress management and wellness called Stress Management Place, one word, stressmanagementplace.com. And on that website has all of the things that I like to share with people, the programs and the courses and the consulting and coaching and all the things that I do that are um, to help people. Because most people you were right on when what you said earlier. Most people don't know how to handle stress, and I've been blessed to learn a lot of good stuff that really, really does work. And that's not a very scientific way of saying it, but it's good stuff.
Yes, sir. Man, I know this. One of the things that I firmly believe is that it's really only one person in the room. And when I say that, I mean there's only one body of humanity.
Mm,
We're cells in the body of humanity. We are all cells in the body of humanity, and we all have a part to play. And the well-being of the overall human being, humankind, is really should be in all of our interests. So I'm gonna ask you this. Let's say that you are the veteran, pioneer, sage, Dr. Michael Olpin, that has gone through these experiences and accumulated a wealth of knowledge and discovered through scientific experiment and discovery solutions. If you could give some parting words to the future Dr. Michael Olpin that's coming to this dimension, completely oblivious to what's happening, and you try to put him up on game, so to speak, so that you know how do you navigate this space and have the most fulfilling and enjoyable life possible. What would you say to your coming self
mm.
as your wise self?
Stay in the moment.
Ah, I like it.
That's, I mean, and that's a long, long conversation, but it, if you want to feel peaceful, if you want to be happy, stay in the moment consciously. And that's the wisest words I know.
Dude,
Uh,
I like that. It's going to take a minute to unpack that, but I do know one aspect of what you just said. Because a lot of the stress happening when you're worrying about the future or you're regretting something from the past and you're not here.
right.
You're not, not able to experience this here and now, which is really the only eternal moment. Dude, I am so eternally grateful to you. Dr. Open, thank you so much for sharing your insights and research and your passions with us today. I want you to continue to shine your light, man, for so many people who have not done the groundwork, have not invested those 10,000 hours and more to actually find those solutions so that they can benefit from your vicarious knowledge. And dude, I'm going to continue to work with you to the best of my ability to help you get your message out there because I know that many people like me who don't even know that they're in danger,
Yeah.
don't even know that it's a problem. But once you turn the light on, you say, oh, you know what? I thought it was something wrong with that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I am so grateful. And I want you to stay tuned to the upcoming Wellness Workers Podcast, where we have experts like Dr. Olpin sharing information, insights, and inspiration about how do you create the best impact for your workspaces, for your people, for your team, and for yourself to have a more fulfilling, happier, and long life because it feels good to feel good. Dr. Olpin, we're going to sign off now.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Wellness Workers Podcast. We hope you found valuable insights to support your health, your loved ones, and your workplace. Remember, wellness isn't just a trend, it's a lifestyle. Stay tuned for more expert advice and real-world strategies to help you thrive. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. If you're a wellness worker and would like to share your story or best practices, please get in touch with me. Until next time, stay well and take care.